Rain and 38 right now, turning to snow. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560 The Answer.
All right. When is it going to go away? How high is it going to get? Good morning and welcome back to Chicago's Morning Answer. Amy Jacobson here with John Anthony, who's filling in for Dan Proft. And I mean, how high is it going to get? We're talking about the gas prices. Yeah. What's the highest you've paid yet? Oh, because you've got a fancy car.
Yeah, $5.39 a gallon.
What?
Yeah.
What are you filling your car with liquid gold?
But then I go to E85, which is $1.10 cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of car do you drive? Oh, you got a fancy car.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Well, I got a hobo ride, and I used regular unleaded.
Yeah.
And even in Indiana, it was $4.45. And while I was filling up, though, it dropped down to $4.10 a gallon, or $4.19. And I ran in and I said, "Did I get the price?" And she said, "No." She said, "I have no control over that." Yeah. So while I was gassing up, I should have waited till 1 minute later. I know, but I'm not. It still makes me mad. But with more. Oh, by the way, let's talk about gas prices. So Mayor Lightfoot suggested taking 3 cents off our 8 cents a gallon gas tax in Chicago.
Our goal is to make sure that we have maximum impact to address the immediate concern that people have with being able to afford to put gas in their car.
And then Governor Pritzker, who doubled our gas tax and then froze the gas tax, meaning it's not going to increase in July.
Yeah, get rid of all of that.
But it's 38 cents a gallon. We could use that extra 38 cents a gallon. Right. But, this is like smoke and mirror. They make these, declarative statements, but they don't do anything.
We are looking at ways that we can reduce the gas tax across the state of Illinois, because we recognize, even since I introduced my budget, that war has now broken out,
so it's Putin's fault.
The result of that war is that oil prices have gone through the roof. We're at $100 or over $100 a barrel, and that's way above where it was even back in early February when I introduced the budget. So yeah, we're looking at other ways that we can reduce the gas tax, and also overall, as you know, I introduced the Illinois Family Relief Plan, which reduces taxes not only in grocery taxes, but
I'm really
gas taxes as well as property taxes.
Oh yeah.
What happened to the
Superman.
speculators? Whatever happened to the speculators? Remember when in the Bush years that the speculators were the biggest problem as to the reason why gas prices were soaring through the roof? No one's talking about the speculators anymore.
And I love the Hollywood left. Here's George Takei. Americans, we could endure higher prices for food and gas if it means putting the screws to Putin. Consider it a patriotic donation in the fight for freedom over tyranny. That's how a lot of people feel. Because I went to Willie Wilson's great gas giveaway. Yeah. I was actually pumping gas.
Did you get gas?
No, I didn't get gas. I was pumping gas. I was helping the owner and his wife because they were so overwhelmed. I'm like, I'll help out. Yeah. I lubed the chassis too. And the people that I spoke with, they have no idea. Like, do you know who did this?
Right.
Biden. I go, but it's also Pritzker.
Right.
Are you going to, they're responsible. There's like, no, it's Putin's fault. They actually think that it's Putin's fault.
Of course.
With more on this, let's welcome to the program Paris Dennard. He is RNC National Spokesperson and Director of Black Media Affairs. Good morning, Mr. Paris, or Mr. Dennard. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. So what, the price of gas, is this Putin's problem or is it Biden's problem?
This is Biden's gas hike, and he knows it. And every American who's driving across the country understands that this gas crisis started long before Putin decided to invade Ukraine. Today, the average gas price in Illinois is $4.47. A year ago, it was $3.05. Putin didn't invade Ukraine a year ago. This is a problem of Joe Biden's creation because of his terrible policies. He doesn't have an economic policy that is working for the American people. He doesn't have an energy policy that's working for the American people. That's why day one, when he got rid of the Keystone Pipeline, he indicated to the nation, quite frankly, to the world, where he stood when it came to making sure that Americans were going to be energy independent like we were under the Bush years. And so when everyday Americans, especially those in Illinois, go to fill up their cars, you all were talking about it earlier, how much it costs for you to fill up your tank. If you drive a car that requires regular gasoline or a car that requires high octane, it is expensive. This is a problem that's impacting everyone. But I'm most concerned, the Republican National Committee is most concerned about those Americans, especially those in Illinois, who are on fixed incomes, who are on limited incomes, those single mothers, those who cannot afford to decide whether or not to put food on the table because the high price of inflation that is costing everyday items for food like bread and cheese and meat to be more expensive and eggs to be more expensive. They have to choose between food for their children and their families or putting a full tank of gasoline. So people are opting to put a half a tank of gasoline or a quarter of a tank so they can pay for food. And the Department of Agriculture said that inflation is food inflation especially is going to continue to rise by 5%. So it's not transitory. It's not something that is temporary. I bring up inflation because we have to look at this issue on a macro level, not just on a micro level looking at gas prices. It is the totality of the crisis that Joe Biden has created that is causing such an economic turmoil for everyday Americans, especially those that are middle class and lower income.
Well,
this is a tax increase.
Yeah, let's talk about the Keystone Pipeline, though, because people think that, oh, no, we could just turn it back on, but it really wasn't fully completed, correct? And I heard that Biden sold back the materials used to build the Keystone Pipeline for 30% lower than he purchased it for, or the government did.
Just like the wall, if he had stayed the course and kept things in place that President Trump had in place, we would have had a fully functioning Keystone Pipeline. We would have had a fully completed wall that is leading to so many problems in this country. And so it is because they rolled back all of the progress that we had, and he has squandered the economic recovery that he inherited, that we are in this situation today.
Yeah. You know, I love Thomas Sowell. I love his quote on inflation. He said, inflation is a quiet but effective way for the government to transfer resources from the people to itself without raising taxes. And that's exactly what's happening. But, you know, isn't this a great opportunity for the Republican Party to, especially as it pertains to the gas tax that happens throughout the country? Isn't this a great way to actually start teaching people about just how important this is and how electing good conservative fiscal leaders is important to reducing stuff like this, so that single mother doesn't have to choose between putting food on the table or filling up her gas tank, right?
Sure, it is a teachable moment for voters to know that, number one, elections have consequences, and this is the consequences of voting in liberals and keeping, quite frankly, liberals in office because their policies do not work economically, socially, politically. They just don't work, and they're not working. The other moment for us is to register voters who are frustrated. That's why, under the leadership of Ronna McDaniel, we have started a national voter registration drive being held near gas, because we know that there are so many frustrated drivers that are upset and are really, really frustrated. I got news I think yesterday or the day before yesterday out in California. We registered 5 new voters who were there and we're just, saying, yes, I want to be a part of the Republican Party. We know that in order to win these elections in November, in order to have the change that we need, we've got to educate voters. We also have to listen to voters, but we also have to register voters to make sure they turn out for this red wave. Yeah,
and Paige, when you look across the country, like I had a couple of my friends and cousins call me who were black. I'm black. I'm blackish, I should say. And calling me, calling me and saying that they hate they voted for Joe Biden. And one of my cousins in particular was like, because I have a radio show on Saturdays called Black and Right, and I talk, especially during the election, I just talked up Trump a lot, and one of my cousins was like, man, you need to let that guy go, he's a racist. He called me the other day, he says, you know what, I apologize. If Trump runs again, I'm running from him. Are you hearing that across the country in black and brown communities?
Yeah, it's true. There's buyer's remorse, and I think that a lot of black Americans are upset because they were sold a bill of goods by the Biden campaign. They promised them that they were going to do something about police reform. They promised them that they were going to do something about student loan debt. They promised them they were going to do something about violence and crime, and none of the things have materialized. And I think that when you look at where the black community continues to be disproportionately impacted by things like the unconstitutional discriminatory mask mandates that we saw across the country. There is a high level of people in the black community that are upset. We see it every day in our community centers. We have 8 Black American RNC-funded community centers across the country, fully staffed by Black Americans from the community, and we see it. We are educating voters on financial literacy and cryptocurrency and school choice and a whole host of issues leading up to the election, because we know that they want an alternative. And when you had someone like Joe Biden questioning their blackness because of the idea that they would even consider voting for a Republican, let alone Donald Trump, I think it left a bad taste in the minds of in the mouths of a lot of Black Americans. And so, once again, this too is an opportunity for us that we are fully engaged on with our minority engagement effort here at the RNC.
Hey, Paris, I'm going to get your contact information because I didn't know that. I didn't know the 8 community centers. I had no idea that was happening because I've been railing on the Republican Party. I'm a Republican, 20-plus year Republican, and I just feel like
you're a former Democrat.
I'm a former Democrat.
I'm a recovering Democrat as well.
But I didn't know, and I think that needs to get out because you got people like me and other Black Republicans here in the state, especially in the state of Illinois, where we're unicorns. We're considered unicorns, Black Republicans. And I would love to get you on the show to talk about that, and because that's very important that the RNC is doing outreach, but it's not getting out there.
Yeah, I'd love to come on your show as well, but I think it's important for all your listeners to know that the RNC is responding, is listening, is engaged, and is wanting to make sure that we have the big tent, the open party, the growing party that we started under Donald Trump continues, and that coalition continues. And I'm glad that RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel has done just that, and it continues to do that. So I'd love to come back on your show and talk about that too.
Yeah, we'll get you the information. We'll hook you two up.
Hook me up.
Can I be your yenta? But real quick, are you still there, Paris?
I think he's gone.
Oh, well, where did he
go? I think we lost him.
Why did that have to end? I was going to ask him about the RNC, the convention, because the DNC is either coming to Chicago or guess where else?
Oh, my God. Colorado.
Las Vegas.
Oh.
And remember last time I was here? When was the last time we had the convention? Well, we know we had one in 1968. I'm very familiar with that.
Wasn't Clinton president last time we had it here?
Was it 1990? No, come on.
92, 94, 96?
I can't. No. It was 96.
96.
Yes, 1996.
I remember.
So it's between here and Las Vegas. And I was going to ask him because he might be in the know. RNC convention they're deciding between 2 places.
Yeah.
Ready?
Go.
Milwaukee or Nashville. Don't you think we should go to Nashville?
Milwaukee.
I
get the Wisconsin.
You get the Wisconsin thing.
I get the Wisconsin.
Yeah, because you need that.
You need that. You need that. You need that state.
That's I know, but it's Milwaukee. Well, I mean, no offense, because I've been there before.
I like downtown Milwaukee, though.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
What's to do with downtown Milwaukee? 312-642-5600. No, is downtown Milwaukee fun?
Yeah, it's right.
I've
right
never
by the
been to
Buck
Marquette.
Stadium.
I've never
right by the
been.
Buck Stadium.
I have been to a Brewers game.
Yeah.
And that was all right. It wasn't great.
Beautiful stadium, though.
Mm-hmm.
I go there every year.
Why?
Because
to cut the Cubs.
Cubs and Brewers, and a friend of mine buys out the suite, the Gale Suites, whatever it's called.
Uh-huh. Oh, that one?
Yeah.
I think maybe he hung up because you wanted his information.
I think that's what it was.
Well, he did join us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you've got a business in manufacturing or the food industry, you know success depends on taking care of 2 things, your workforce and your bottom line. And caring for one used to mean neglecting the other. Introducing OWIP Physicians, OWIP On-Site Wellness and Injury Prevention. They're a group of doctors that go to sites like yours to treat workers and save you money in the form of lost workdays, workers' comp claims, training replacement workers, and OSHA fines, just to name a few. And the best thing, OSHA defines what their doctors do as non-recordable. OWIP provides doctors to improve employee performance, reduce pain, turnover, and health expenses, and OSHA doesn't want to know about it. So if your workers need less pain and your profits need a boost, call OWIP. OWIP Physicians, repairing your workforce and your bottom line. OWIPphysicians.com. That's OWIPphysicians.com. Dial 207-977-OWIP.
Call OWIP Physicians.
207-977-OWIP.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time. I'm a retired firefighter, and I have been retired for about 6 years. I've had a lot of damage done to my body over the course of my employment, and I'm coming up on my first year anniversary of taking Balance of Nature. And I'm agile and energetic, and the doctors and the physical therapists are amazed. They're like, you don't even need us. I don't think I would be doing half as well as I'm doing if I hadn't had extra nutrition from Balance of Nature to help my body heal itself.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free, and don't